Yes.
What is the conventional explanation for these massive bluffs that are very far apart from each other with a relatively small river running through the middle of
Try
it?
as I might, I've never found an explanation. But you can look here at this, and this is pure what you call scab land, which is the result of major erosional, intense erosion, cutting out. This is a coulee, but you
It looks
look
like
at the,
somebody's just been picking scabs off the skin of the land, and that was these water flows rushing through it, filled with icebergs and whole forests ripped up by their roots. Naturally, it looks like torn up scabs.
And so
Yes.
it's your assertion that this all came out of the cataclysm, that this all came out of the impacts, the comet impacts.
James Teller, geologist, has dated these flows 12,800 to 12,900 years ago.
And how has he done that?
Radiocarbon dating primarily by finding if you have a flood and it's picking up anything organic, bone, wood, whatever, and you look in those deposits and you sample, and the samples, let's say because it's a flood, what it's going to do, it's going to pick up younger and older material because it's washing away, it's excavating other land, and so what you do is you get enough datable material, and if it keeps coming up that the maximum age is a given age, that's probably when the flood happened, or a minimum age rather, not a maximum age. In other words, a flood might pick up stuff that's 15,000 years old and 12,000. Well, when did the flood happen? At 15,000 or 12,000? So what you do is you look for the youngest datable material, and that should usually give you a pretty good idea of when the flood happened. So James Teller has dated this overflow here, and again, it comes out perfectly consistent with the Younger Dryas.
I think it's important to add at that point that there's a reason for all of this, and this is a huge controversy in science at the moment. We know that there was enormous flooding 12,800 years ago, but the question is what caused it? Why did it happen then? And there's a very powerful theory, which is now backed by more than 100 mainstream scientists, that the Earth passed through the debris stream of a disintegrating comet. And that theory is called the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis. And those several bits of that disintegrating comet might have been pretty big, maybe up to 1 kilometer in diameter. And they landed on the North American ice cap, generating huge amounts of heat. Tremendous shock wave hits the ice cap. And it turns that ice into water, and it rushes down southwards, fills up these lakes, overflows these lakes, and tears up the landscape underneath it. And this Younger Dryas impact hypothesis is by far, in my view, the best explanation of what's going on. And I'm very happy to say that the Comet Research Group, the 100 scientists who are behind this, they've been funding their own research for nearly 2 decades because no big mainstream institution would get behind them. But just in the last couple of years, some big funding has come into the Comet Research Group. And they're now in a position to go look at Antarctic ice, to go look at all the evidence from all over the world that shows that this cataclysm did happen 12,800 years ago, and that we're dealing with something really that is almost unimaginable in its scope, and which should change the way that we look at the history of the human species. If it were not for this resistance,